Welcome to Seniors on the Move. We have a very important subject today that I'm interested in, and I know you will be too. It's end of life. What do we do? Where do we go? Who's going to take care of us? And we have someone that knows all of those things and a lot more too. And thank you for coming, Laura. I really appreciate it. Laura Dusha Nelson, that's her full name, was raised in Vermont, gorgeous state, and spent 20 years in the hospitality industry. I found that interesting. And also 12 years as executive director of the Listening Wellness Center in Barre, Massachusetts. She decided she wanted to coach and work in death literacy. I've never heard that before. And end of life for both humans and animals. That is wonderful. In 2024, she opened her business officially. And the name of it is The Journey Before Us. Am I correct on that?
Yes, it is.
She returned to school at the University of Vermont for both modalities. She knows her subject. She continues to be educated and supported through a death literacy group and is also part of the Community Death Literacy Project. And it's called Compassion and Choices. And I get their mailings.
Oh.
I do. Just being awarded to serve out as one of 10 ambassadors for this workshop. If you want to talk a little bit more about that later, that's fine. Laura is a member of NEDA, or the National End of Life Doula Alliance. I knew I wasn't going to get that right. Do you want to expand on what I just said about your background and how you got into this and why and so forth?
Yeah, thank you for having me, Karen.
A pleasure.
I think our journeys start somewhere, and sometimes we don't even realize where. I was kind of thinking about this as I was driving here today, and my parents obviously had a big impact on my journey. And it was normal in the 60s and 70s to visit funeral homes when someone died and to pay your respects to the families.
Yes.
And so I think that's where that piece of it came about. And The Journey Before Us does have two parts. I do health and wellness coaching, and I do the death literacy and end-of-life work. And I think both are equally as important.
Do you work mostly with seniors?
Well, the health and wellness coaching right now is mostly not seniors, but the death literacy seems to be 40s up to and inclusive of 80s and 90s.
When people are starting to realize the importance of staying healthy and diet and working out and so forth. And as a diabetic for 60 years, I find that exercise and eating right helps me. I've had it for a long time. I am a senior, as you all know, and it's very, very important. Do you want to talk about the loss of your parents?
Sure, yeah,
a little
absolutely.
bit for us.
Yeah, so my father had lung cancer, and he battled it for 10 months. He was a 40-year sober alcoholic, and so he knew what feeling poorly was like, and he knew what feeling well was like. And he treasured his 40 years of feeling well. And so when he was going through treatments, he said it was worse than his worst drunk ever was, and he decided to stop treatment. He had had 2 surgeries and radiation and chemo, and it didn't work for him.
How old was he at that time?
He was 68.
Okay.
So I lost him when I was 30, and we were privileged, I will call it, to be with him during his last days and his last day. And it's something that when people ask me about it, I tell them that I am truly honored to have been able to be with him. It was something that I could tell you,
feeling.
Yeah, the day, I can tell you the weather, I can tell you where we were, everything about it. And so that was something that I carried with me for, 20 years. And then my mom actually was a tragedy. She was in a car accident. And so you don't get that same opportunity. And I think that we take for granted every day. We don't think that today could be our last day or today could be our last hour.
True.
And so we have changed the way we live our life to really live it fully, because we just don't know.
We don't know. And again, at my age, I think about that now and then. I really do. Doula. Give me a background. What is a doula? I've
The
heard
word,
of it.
well, the word doula is actually Greek, and it is,
Okay.
it was called women in service, and most people have heard of it as a birth doula.
Yes.
So, or
Yes.
a birth midwife, someone who helps to bring the wonderful new baby into this world. And this is the opposite. It is helping to usher someone out of this world. It's a non-medical.
Okay. So I'm just thinking about the word hospice comes to mind. Can you explain how that, which part that plays in what you're talking about?
Yeah. So oftentimes a hospice is regulated. So they're hospice employees or volunteers, and they're regulated by, an amount of time or certain things that they do. There is medical side to hospice, medical nurses, doctors, etc., caregivers, spiritual counsel. But there's a piece that is where we fill in the gaps. So we are called either death doulas or end-of-life doulas, because it doesn't have to just be at the very end. It can be that death literacy piece leading up to it. So getting prepared, doing some legacy projects, doing some advanced directives, putting your wishes known, those sort of things, which are more emotional, right? So it's emotional support as well as caregiving. So maybe there's a family who just really needs a break. They need to go in the other room and have a cup of tea, but they don't want to leave their person. So we would sit with.
So you stay through the whole process, right to the end?
It depends upon
Usually-
what the client wishes for,
Okay.
but it can be any or all of that. Some people just want us to do some advanced planning with them, and again, emotional, spiritual support. Other people do have us stay right through the end and post. Some people want us to see through their wishes of what they want for a funeral or a celebration.
Do you find that more and more people are doing this, are using a service like yours?
It is becoming more and more popular, and it is also becoming more known about. There's, every day I'm seeing an article or a hospice nurse who's written a book or a doctor who's referring to doulas. So it is becoming more and more popular.
There's a name that I can't think of. He's a surgeon from Boston who's written a couple of books about end of life.
Atul Gawande.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
He is a wonderful author.
He is.
And he also did something on PBS, which was just perfect. Things we had to know that we don't even think about. Just makes it a little bit less scary, because as we get older, you start thinking. And oh boy, living a full life. What do you do first? Someone has contacted you. How do you set all of this up, and what are the questions that you ask them?
Yeah, so the first thing I do is I offer a free 30-minute conversation just to do what we're doing now. Just make sure that we have the right energy, that we connect with each other, that I am what they need, and that they are the person for, it's just, you want it to be compatible, right? And
Because
so
they're not sure what they're looking for.
right,
Is
and
that-
they don't
yeah.
really know. They might come and say, where do I start? What do I do? Or they might say, I'm newly diagnosed with this. What now? So we kind of just look at what that looks like. What are they looking for? Do they have family nearby? That's another really important question, because if they're here and there's no one around them, then what they're looking for is probably different than if their kids live in the next town over.
Is it more women that contact you than men, would you say?
At this point, yes.
I feel we're a little more informed about things like that. Maybe not.
Yeah.
There's some
I
very
had a couple
bright
of
guys
men.
out there.
I had a couple of men admit that. One gentleman admitted that I'm 80 years old and I'm still resistant to getting a will put together, but I know I should.
I could see where it might start with that. That could be the reason for doing it. And you're educating me too, so I'm going to be thinking about something like that at some point. But again, we don't know, do we, from day to day?
We don't. We don't.
Could
we
be
really
something
don't.
very fast. But, we see people around us, and, I have a question here about managing chronic disease. Do you have anything to do with that, or did I hear you say it's not medical? Could you just explain that a little bit more? You're not the physician, of course.
No, not at all. And so in my kind of half of my work that I do in health and wellness coaching, I often speak with people who are looking for support in chronic illness, whether it be mold exposure or Lyme disease or arthritis or chronic fatigue. And I don't diagnose, prescribe, or anything like that. Again, I'm not a medical doctor. So what we do is we explore what their doctor has asked them to do, and that's often where they're looking for support. So let's use diabetes for an example, since you brought that up earlier. So your doctor tells you, well, you should eat this, you shouldn't eat this, you should do this. And then you're kind of feeling like, I shouldn't do this, I should do this. So we work on, well, tell me how you felt when you were feeling well. What was that like? And what were you eating? And what were you doing for exercise? And how did that feel? And so we get them thinking about when they felt well and what they were doing. And then what is it that you're struggling with? What piece? And some people say, well, I come in the house and I just want a cookie or a piece of bread. And well, what else could you do? Well, maybe I could chop up celery and carrots and put them in the fridge, and then they're right there. So they've solved their own problem based on questions that I ask them, ways that I kind of interview them.
What about the fear aspect when they've had a diagnosis? It's a shock.
Yes.
It makes you stop and say, oh my gosh. How do you lessen that? What do you say to them when they're very afraid or they can't decide whether they want to use your service?
Yeah,
I'd be very curious to know that, because I think about that myself sometimes.
Yeah, and especially it's similar in chronic illness as it is in diagnosis, but oftentimes when we get diagnosed with something, we get this overwhelming fear. It's also like anticipatory grief. Like if you tell me that I have cancer, all of a sudden, your mind goes, often, not always, but your mind goes to the negative, right? And we're anticipating, well, what's that going to be like? What's treatment going to be like? What's the end going to be like? And that is where the fear comes out of. A lot of times I feel it's from grief.
Now, when you say treatment, do you mean your treatment? What you are going to do with them? Which I would think would be psychological.
No, I'm talking about if they have a diagnosis and they've decided to have treatment for it, whether it be, medicine or, chemotherapy or radiation, or depending upon what their disease is.
Okay. What else can you tell us about what you do? What comes to mind? I have other questions, but I'm just curious. What do you want people to know if they're hesitant to do something about it and not just go to the doctor or get shots or medical treatment? It's the other side. It's the psychological, it's the mind, it's fears, it's... What else would you tell them to make them feel comfortable about what you are going to be doing with them?
Yeah, so it's a kind of two different pieces of the business, right? So the health and wellness coaching piece often, is integrated into the end of life work, but they are completely separate, not necessarily connected with each other. So if somebody were seeing me as a health and wellness client, we would explore, their whole life, their whole person. Like I'm very much into whole body, whole being. So if I don't sleep well at night, I'm probably not going to be in a really good mood for a relationship with you tomorrow, right? So how does each part of our life interact with the other part? And what needs balancing?
All right. Your consultation. What happens during a consultation? You've already mentioned a few things. Can you just give us the steps, with what you do and
yes, sure.
how that all comes together?
Yeah, so I would talk to you, I would ask you, where do you live, and what your how you found out about me, what's bringing you to the call today. You know, and they would give me that information. What is it that you're hoping to get out of our conversation today, and what do you think you're looking for, you know, in the future, whether that be short term, long term. And they might say, I just don't know where to start. You know, I'm 80 years old and I haven't made any plans. What do I do?
Okay.
And we kind of go from there, and it gives
you
me a bigger picture.
Do you involve the husband, the children, or do you ask them if they'd rather not? Or to me, this is a really big subject.
It is a very big
and I
subject.
hope I'm asking the right questions, because we want to. She's doing a great job. But you know, whatever you want people to know and feel good about and understand about the doula thing, and that too.
Yeah, the biggest, what I tell people is figuring out what you want and sharing that information with your family. Making plans is the biggest gift that you can give to your family.
Yes.
You don't have to clean out your 10-room house, but if you have a plan, or if you know what you want done with that, it's just a gift, because it is overwhelming for the family.
Yeah, I would think so.
Yeah.
What about a person living alone? Does that make a difference if someone doesn't have a family? Have you ever had anything?
It does make a difference, and I always encourage. I'm not medical, but I'm also not legal. But I do encourage people to have their advance plans, you know, their will, their estate, their trust, whatever that looks like,
and so
all of
forth.
that in place.
Yeah, okay. That's
I don't
important.
do any of that, as I said, but you need to have those things in place, and
I would imagine that would help you if you could see their healthcare proxy, but I don't know, maybe that's where the law comes in, the legalities come in, I'm not sure. But anything you want to talk about, I really want people to know about this. Is there something I haven't mentioned so far? Or what about children? Do you deal with children?
I have not done children at this point. I have a course at the University of Vermont where I took my other studies on pediatric end-of-life doula that I had to postpone myself until this coming year, so I haven't done the course yet. And
to me, that would be a kind of a whole different setup.
Yeah.
What about the animals? I'm very interested in that. Tell me about that.
Yeah, so a lot of times people, they know that, you know, their dog or cat is aging, is 16 years old, and that they're going to have to put them down, or they're ill and they're at the end of life, and what do they do? Some people just want to have someone accompany them. Especially if they've never been through it.
Yeah, that's really sad. People
It is
love
sad.
their animals.
It is. They're like family. Yeah.
And I think I just read something about they can put pacemakers in
Oh.
dogs now.
Wow.
Yeah, it's called Nice News, and I listen to it all the
Oh,
time.
very good.
Just to see something positive for a change. But okay, for people that are interested, would like to talk to you, just tell me give me your website, phone number, whatever you want them to know about you.
Absolutely, sure.
That would
Yeah,
be
so I
good.
serve folks throughout Worcester County. I can do our consultations on Zoom, which makes it really nice, because if somebody's, on the other side of the county, they don't have to drive to me, I don't have to drive to them. So our first consultation is usually by phone or on Zoom.
Okay.
The website is www.thejourneybeforeus.com.
Okay. And the phone number also? Would you
Sure.
prefer that, a phone call?
That's fine. Yeah, absolutely.
All
It's
right.
802
Mm-hmm.
734
All right.
0879.
All right, they've contacted you, and you have them come in for half an hour, is it?
It's a half an hour.
Okay.
And my email is on there. There's a contact me form on the website, and I have a phone number.
Okay.
It's a Vermont phone number.
When I think of computers, they've just taken over our whole life. Do you see people in person?
I do.
I would think that would be important.
I do. Typically, the 30-minute free consultation is by phone or Zoom,
The human part,
only because some people find out that I'm not really you know, they're looking for a chaplain or they're looking for a social worker and I'm not that person. So that way they haven't wasted their time traveling somewhere.
Okay.
And I did just want to circle back to that one thing you asked me about, the Living Fully and Dying book club, that's sponsored by the organization that you mentioned in my bio.
Okay.
Yeah,
All
so
right.
that's actually the Community Death Literacy Project is a partnership between Francesca Arnaldi, who's the contemplative doula, and Compassion and Choices. They've come together and provided a 6-week workshop and some workbooks and advanced care planning guides. So we facilitate the course, and people get everything from examples of memory making and music and wonderment and awe and dream legacy projects. And so this is also that other piece that's kind of out there that you wouldn't think about that we do as doulas, and that's the death literacy piece.
All right. There's a lot out there for you, and give this nice lady a call. And if anything changes or you're adding anything we'd like to know about it, you should come back and do another show.
Oh,
Thank you so much for coming.
Thanks very much,
And we'll
Karen.
see you next time.
Okay.
And if you